Um, oh no! I interrupted the live!
No, it's
Never
okay.
mind, carry
We
on.
can cut it. No, we can cut it. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, when you pose a question, would you be able to toss to one of us?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
so
yeah.
that way Tony and I are like, you go first. No, you go first.
Yeah, no problem. We can do that.
Thank
So, Andy, you are editing. Just know we love you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so we'll get started now. Um, Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. And this is our last episode for season 0 because the holidays are here. We are waiting until we could actually review the episodes for Legends of Tomorrow. So that's going to be the end of January. So that's when we're going to start again with season 1 of the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. But let's start with this episode, which is kind of just like a wrap-up episode to kind of discuss what we're looking forward to in Legends of Tomorrow and just stuff that's been announced since we're getting closer to the actual episodes. So let's introduce everybody that's here. First, Greg, what's going on?
Hey, it's going well. How are you?
Doing well. We were all talking about Star Wars before, so
Yeah.
we're very much in the Star Wars brain and mindset. So we're still thinking about that. How about you, Tony? You're
happy,
definitely in the brain set or mindset.
yeah, happy Nerd Weekend, everybody. Great news. I mean, this whole past couple of weeks, besides just Star Wars, some amazing trailers from all different franchises, different visual graphics coming out from different TV properties, and so this has been a nerd celebration. Christmas came early for us nerds in multiple ways.
Yes.
For sure. In Star Wars, I experienced so much joy before the opening crawl. There were so many good trailers. It was amazing.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it's been an experience, an awesome experience with all the Star Wars craziness. But yeah, let's get started with our Legends of Tomorrow craziness because that's coming really, really soon. And I'm glad we finally have a release date. Every single time we're talking about the show, it's like, yeah, we're talking about it. We don't really know when it's gonna be out, but it's coming soon. But we're going to talk about some news pieces first. First is the new posters that came out, which is kind of cool. You get to see a focus of all the characters. I know they just had logos that came out also, so you get to see like the Hawkman logo or the Vandal Savage logo, which is all going to be part of like the theme song or the opening credits. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, the posters are awesome. I definitely want at least one of them. So if you guys have a poster, no, I'm just joking. But I think they're pretty cool. I'm glad that they're going to release it. I'm not joking. If you want to send it to me, just like send all 9 or even more, like doubles of it.
Do you have a favorite one?
I like the White Canary one. I think the best, only because I'm like most excited for her character. But Greg, what did you think about him?
I think they're cool. I mean, they're character posters. They just give us yet another look at each individual. They obviously have the attention-grabbing, vivid colors behind them, often shades of blue and orange, and they're good. I mean, they have me just as excited as it was before. White Canary has the cool pose. Adam he's like holding a punch in place, so that's a little weird. But
That's the one poster you wouldn't want, Greg, is the Adam one.
No, it's just kind of like all of them are characters in motion and ready to fight, and with him it's almost like he's holding just a punch in place. I like the Heatwave one. I wonder if that's because like I'm really anxious to see more of him though. I feel like he, out of everyone here, has received the least amount of attention in terms of character depth and making him interesting, because right now he's all temperature puns. We know he's like a criminal and he loves making jokes about the temperature. Other than that, don't really know much about him. We don't know his origin. He has the chance to really be fleshed out, and I hope they do that in the show.
Either that or die, so hopefully he gets fleshed out. I would not want him to die, but it's either that or get fleshed out. So let's hope that he's getting fleshed out. But Tony,
if he's going to die, at least make us care about him before they kill him.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Hopefully we get to care about him, and hopefully we get some showcase episodes with him, which I think we will. But sure. Tony, what do you think about those posters?
Yeah, pretty cool. Looks like they have a good blend of kind of real life, everyday wear, and then more the superhero sort of look and feel on the other end of the spectrum. I was really concerned with how they would pull off Firestorm, but actually it's pretty cool. I mean, it's an interesting take on it, and kind of with the leather, and I wasn't expecting them to have the big bushy, the big sleeves and the kind of crazy headgear thing. But I think that they kind of interesting solution. I can't wait to kind of see it a little bit more in action. And I thought Canary looks pretty cool. I wasn't a fan of her hair. I mean,
it's like all slicked back. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, that's a little nitpicky, but clearly her hair is going to change through the course of the show. But that looked kind of strange to me, like they're trying a little too hard with her. Does Adam look like he has a little bit more red on him? He seemed like maybe I just didn't really notice it before.
It does.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's got a little bit more red going on there. But I think my favorite was Hot Girl. Just kind of get a good shot of her costume, and excited to see see her in action. So
very cool. So let's move on to our next news topic, which is Rachel Ra's al Ghul to guest on Legends of Tomorrow, which is cool. When I heard that, I'm like, this could be a really good opportunity for people who've died or people we just don't get to see that often to be on the show, especially someone like Ra's al Ghul, because he's a character that's Greg actually looked it up. How old is he in the show?
I believe he's over 100 years old. I remember being impressed when we heard about it in the show. He implied he's over a certain age, and after quickly looking it up, it seemed like he's a little over 100.
Yeah, so
Could
it's gonna
be
be
wrong,
cool.
But
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But I think it'll be cool to see him as a younger person, maybe more inexperienced, maybe his earlier days of the League of Assassins, and him interacting with Vandal especially. I hope that's something that ends up happening. But I think it'll be just cool to see Matt and Abel again. And I know a lot of people didn't really like the Ra's al Ghul story arc from last season just because it kind of ended really weakly. And hopefully this is going to kind of redeem the character a little bit more. Personally, but let's go with Tony. Thoughts on this?
I'm excited. I mean, he's a great character, and it's been kind of cool to see his kind of maybe his prequel days. Wondering when he ever has time to actually fight Batman, since he's always spending his time with Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow and whatnot. But I mean, I'm excited. I think that's going to be another great advantage of having this sort of shared universe that you can bring all these different characters across the board. So, it's going to be cool.
Greg?
Yeah, I'm excited to see more of him. I like the actor as the villain. I didn't necessarily like the handling of his story arc throughout Season 3. I think it was their weakest season yet. Please don't translate that into me saying it was a bad season. I do not believe that. But I definitely wasn't the biggest fan of it either. So he obviously makes sense. I mean, this is a show where we can see them in totally different periods, and that can incorporate different characters. And having this villain, if they travel even anywhere within the span of 100 years ago, it makes perfect sense. And is it even confirmed that it will be the actor reprising the role, or could it be another person?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
it
is the actor. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, because it would have been neat if we saw like the one who had the mantle before him. Yeah. But even seeing him in his earlier days, I mean, he was a good actor.
Hard to imagine that they can really like de-age him because he's already pretty mature. But maybe we'll catch him like right before the Arrow days.
As long as they don't give him a wig.
Yeah.
Let's hope not, because we know CW and their wigs, or at least in Arrow. Like, I watch iZombie, and their wigs are okay, but Arrow wigs...
Yeah, on Arrow, it wasn't very flattering for Stephen Amell. I think he's even joked about that on social media. Yeah. Didn't he joke about, like, the death of the wig in a certain episode?
Yes,
how, like, he finally got a haircut, so he didn't need to wear it.
That was one of my favorite flashbacks, just because the wig was gone. I was like, finally. I still hate the flashbacks, but I could live with no wig.
But yeah, I mean, he's a really good villain. So the chance to see either the heroes or Vandal Savage interact with him is something that I'm definitely looking forward to, especially White Canary. I'm curious to see if there will be a good dynamic there.
It'll be an origin story for White Canary, like kind of seeing her training. That'd be really cool. But then hopefully we get Nyssa. That'd be great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, her as well. Especially since she hasn't been really used all that much in Arrow recently, that feels like a missed opportunity to bring back Sarah and not have Nyssa play a role in it. I was shocked that we didn't see her. Hopefully they'll deal with Nyssa, how she's coping with Sarah's return. Obviously she was against bringing Sarah back, but I would like to see her reacting to the news of it actually happening. Excuse me.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I agree, though. Hopefully we could actually see Nissa's reaction to all that. But let's move on to our main topic, which is just kind of talk about Legends of Tomorrow in general, like our anticipations and everything. So the first question is, how do we feel about Legends characters after having seen most of them introduced on Arrow and the Flash? So I guess we'll talk about the ones we've seen. Firestorm. I liked him. I think it fits a bit more towards the comic book Ronnie. So I thought that was cool, and I liked his chemistry with Martin Stein. So I think he's going to be interesting to see. Hawkgirl and Hawkman, honestly, I think needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. As much as I thought it was kind of cool to see them in the crossover, like kind of after thinking about it a lot, I'm not totally attached to their characters yet. So I'm hoping in the show we'll feel a little bit more attached. Trying to think who else was introduced. Vandal Savage, of course. I thought he looked great, and I can't wait to see how menacing he is in the show. And who else? Oh, obviously Sarah, we saw, and Adam. Sarah, I hope, gets fleshed out a bit more also after her death, because we didn't really get to see her reaction that much. As much as we know Sarah's character, we don't really know the White Canary. And Adam, I think, is just going to be fun. I think Adam's going to be that fun cheerleader that we're all used to, and I think hopefully his martial arts and his fighting style will be a little bit better in the show, because he's going to have to learn that. And I think, is that all the people we've seen? I think so.
Yeah, I'll be. I too am interested about Hawkman and Hawkgirl and just how they develop those characters, especially their relationship, because they always started you off where you kind of like Hawkman because of Hawkgirl and her relationship with Cisco and just like that dynamic going on. So there was a little bit of a sense that he was like the foil to Cisco, I guess. So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how that relationship develops, and just learning more about like them, their culture, just trying to figure out their powers. Like I was trying to figure out, so what exactly is happening with their wings? Like what is going on there?
They disappear randomly.
Yeah, magic. Is there magic, or is there a mechanical element to that? Is that technology? Like because
seems like purely mysticism.
Because in their past lives you didn't see that, so I was like trying to figure out like what exactly is going on there, and so just really curious. And if it is pure magic, I mean, that opens up a lot, that I'd like to learn more about for sure. And who else? White Canary, yeah, definitely would like to see what's the change in her character now. And now that she's gone through, been resurrected, and will she? How much of old Sarah is there? Is her powers changed? Is she going to have? I mean, is it going to be like something we've never seen before, or just kind of curious because they have to do something that really sets her apart from her Black Canary days, or her Canary days at least, and so they can't just return her back to form. Like I feel like she has to be maybe scarred or really tormented or really sort of have that sort of dark side that she's fighting with. So it's just to make that interesting. Yeah, I think those are a couple of characters that I'm curious about.
Greg?
Totally agreed about White Canary. I feel like they really glossed over that in her resurrection in the other shows. Yeah. They didn't really give it enough of the spotlight. Kind of was more for Laurel and Quentin.
Did they address her like bloodlust thing? Like, what are they going to do about that? I can't remember. Did they address that?
Yes. Like, hey, bye.
Yeah, they addressed that she had it, but then she decided to go off on her own, even though she has bloodlust. And they're like, yeah, sure, we understand. She wanted to like start a new life, which is totally understandable given all the crazy stuff she's been through and the torment. But after finally coming back, you think that having a strong connection to the people close to her would be really important at this point. People who could help her try to recover and then move on to her own life, but she kind of was rushed out the door. She chose to do, which is kind of Henry Allen all over again. He's like, hey, I'm back, bye.
Bye again.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be in Legends of Tomorrow. That's why Henry Allen's going to be a supreme character that has not been announced yet.
Or maybe he's someone else and he's just been hiding behind a
Zoom.
mask the whole time. We'll see. We'll see. There's so many people who, could be like, yes, that's definitely Zoom. But anyway, different discussion. Sorry. We'll leave that up to the Flash podcast. I'm sure Andy has that covered. Yeah, White Canary. Thankfully, it does sound like they'll give us more insight into her conflict, because Katie Lotz, in an interview, she's discussed how, the way she was brought back really is going to change her. So I'm sure we'll see that. Hopefully it's more complicated than occasionally she wants to kill someone, and then they're like, no, you can't do that, Sarah. But actually, I take that back. Thinking it through, having the different characters on the team, that could make it really interesting, because Captain Cold, Heatwave, and maybe even Hawkman would be like, go for it. If you need to kill someone to help yourself, go kill one of these scumbags.
Yeah,
Get rid
but then
of them.
Adam's like, no, don't.
Exactly. But then Adam, Hawkgirl, who else is there? Firestorm. They'll all object. That could be an interesting way to divide the team. I mean, obviously we know they're not going to get along. Just their personalities are all so different, which is something I am really looking forward to if Captain Cold and Heatwave. I'm sure I'm being repetitive here if you listen to past issues, but I think their abrasive personalities is going to be very interesting to witness. Like, if they bump into Al Ghul, he'll just tolerate none of their nonsense and humiliate them. How much of it will Sarah put up with before she drops one of them? Adam, I feel like he'll be like taken advantage of. He'll be like he'll be the butt of a joke essentially when he doesn't realize they're making fun of him, or maybe he wants to bond with them and he's like, come on, I know you guys eventually become heroes and legends. Let's do this together. And they're like, yeah, okay, buddy, we'll work on that. So the dynamic with Captain Cold and Heatwave, as well as fleshing out White Canary, those are the things I really want to see. And like you said, Firestorm, I think it's great to finally have one who's embracing his abilities and having fun with it.
I hope that, and I know that was already discussed in past podcasts about Vandal Savage, but I thought he was a great character, very menacing, a great villain. They're setting up a great villain for the series. I do hope that they show a dimension to him that isn't just pure evil and unstoppable, but they really show. I think that's when we talk about some of the Marvel counterparts on Netflix with Kingpin and with
Kilgrave.
Kilgrave. They're like, they are unstoppable, but at the same time, there's a real vulnerability. There's like multiple facets. There's like he wants something other than just to be pure evil, and so I really do hope that they give him some depth in order to carry the season into the future.
Yeah, so let's move on to our next topic here, which is what effect has the new trailers had on us, more pumped or reverse? Honestly, more pumped, because again, we've been doing this show for so long and not really knowing much about what's going to be about Legends of Tomorrow, except who the characters are going to be, but we didn't really know what type of versions they would be in the show, and now we're really getting a better glimpse. And I love that the trailer looks so much like something we haven't seen on the CW, and it feels different from Arrow and Flash, but still feels like a superhero show. So I think it had some really good balance, had good comedy, had good action. So yeah, I was more pumped because of the trailers, definitely, and getting more information about the show has been really cool over the past couple of weeks. Let's go to Greg first. What were your thoughts on the trailer?
My interest is at the same level, to be honest. It's a good trailer, but it doesn't really do anything new for me. We get more clips of action, which is something we of course know that's going to happen. We get more clips of Vandal Savage, which if it was just the trailer, that would be so exciting for me to finally see more of Casper Crump. But obviously the recent crossover gave him much more screen time. So that's just kind of seeing him again, saying, he wants to restart humanity and rule the new world. So it's not really, I didn't feel like it was really giving me extra insight into the show, as opposed to, once again, showing the general premise and giving a super quick exposition about each character and showing some action, which, it's good, but it didn't, raise my expectations through the roof or anything. Kept me at the same level. Still excited. Enjoyed the trailer. One moment that did appeal to me, it looks like Captain Cold is going to meet his younger self. And that's going to be very interesting because I wasn't the biggest fan of Captain Cold in Flash because I feel like he was mostly there for cold puns and fights that would often make you wonder why Barry isn't a better tactician. Like there's one episode where Captain Cold and Heatwave are in the middle of the street just firing randomly and cops are doing nothing about it and Barry's just dodging them the whole time instead of like attempting to disarm them at all. He's just purely dodging them. But the one episode that really sold Wentworth Miller, is Captain Cold, was the one that really went into his tragic origin story and why his relationship with his sister and vice versa is so important to him. And also, of course, we hope Golden Glider appears in it as well.
I hope so. I honestly don't understand why she's not in the show. Like, I at first was like, why Heatwave and not Golden Glider? It makes more sense to have Golden Glider. Also to bring more female presence, too. But hopefully we can see her.
Yeah. So that has the potential to be really powerful. And there was also a scene with Rip Hunter. Looked like a very emotional scene. So I know they can do the action well. I know they can make it fun. But I'm also looking for the moments the moments that really get you emotionally connected to these characters and the moments that really tug at your heartstrings as well. And based on the little we saw, it looks like it's definitely going to have those moments sprinkled in, and I hope they're executed well.
Tony?
Yeah, I mean that was a great recap. For me, overall, that was the trailers definitely got me more excited. Like I felt like you got more of a sense of the type of show it's going to be. Really felt like it's got a broad scope to it, and I was kind of surprised with like it's while it does look like a TV production, it looks like that they, at least from the trailer perspective, it looks like that they have a decent budget, or it just looks good. And as a Doctor Who fan, and obviously Arthur Darvill being in it, that helps. It kind of reminded me of like a Doctor Who adventure, where they're crossing time adventures and just sort of like anything goes. And so, it definitely got me much more excited after seeing it. And it seems like it's one of those shows that can head one direction for a few episodes and then completely turn a dime and go a different direction, and like doesn't have the typical boundaries, which is why Doctor Who is so incredible and so popular, just because of it can really the options are endless, right? And so I feel like that this has that same potential to really go in these really crazy directions and really be unique in its own way. So yeah, it definitely got me excited.
That's an excellent point. One that I didn't even bother to think about is how this show has the potential to avoid the tropes that Flash and Arrow run into, where we're not worried about the characters needing to hide their identities. They're not worried about saving the city all the time. And maybe there won't even be a villain of the week. Although I imagine
I hope
Vandal,
not, though. I really hope they don't have villain of the week, because that's like
period of the week.
Like a period of the week, I'm good with.
Yeah,
I was like, we're in the 70s, let's go. Like, I'm cool with that. But villain of the week, I'm so tired of that formula.
It just doesn't. Sorry.
I was just say, it does feel like when you mentioned Arrow and Flash that they are limited. They're kind of in their sandbox. But this one, I feel like that, like almost like Star Trek, where they can visit different planets, or Doctor Who or something like that. Like every week can be a different period, a different dimension. It can be anything, and so they really have the potential of making that awesome. But again, I'm like, you have to have the money to back that up, and you got to really be able to sell that well, or it'll just be cheesy.
Yeah, the villain of the week formula, it's so tough because they have such a limited amount of time to begin with.
Yeah.
And they have to focus on the main plot, the primary characters, and then they need to establish and flesh out a villain as well. So it feels like a lot of the material that could have made them more interesting characters left on the cutting room floor, or it's never beyond the script. They just cut it out of the script because there simply isn't enough time for it. So for this, I would love if Vandal Savage had like 3 trusted commanders or something. If he essentially formed his own small team of people who will work with him to create this new world, and each of those characters throughout the course of the whole season have more time to be developed, as opposed to just appearing once getting in one conflict and then being defeated.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Vandal Savage, which is our big villain, which we kind of touched upon his character, but I'm really excited for Vandal, and I guess this like ties into just what we were talking about, villain of the week. I hope they could, and also what we were just talking about, which was Marvel Netflix shows. I think the success of Marvel Netflix shows is because they're very short. They're like 13 episodes for, not very short, but it's a good amount of episodes. It's 13, and now for Legends, it's 16, so it's less than Arrow and Flash. And with the Marvel shows or Marvel Netflix shows, I think it's cool that they just focus on one villain. And I hope they can do this with Legends. I really hope it could just be Vandal and then like skipping time, maybe seeing some minions here and there. But I really hope most of the episodes will be Vandal being the main villain. So that's my hope. I don't know if we'll get it, but we'll see.
Has anyone photoshopped Vandal Savage with minions?
Let's see it. Let's see some minions.
They do follow terrible people, so he seems like a great choice.
The ghosts, instead of going with Damien Dark, are now with Vandal Savage. Like, this guy's like a lot more.
I love Damien Dark. Sorry, I'd say it.
He's a great villain.
They do need some. I do think it would serve the plot well if there was if he had some lieutenants to play off of, and some people that he could lose, or some people that could try to overthrow him, or just something just to kind of make his side a little more interesting. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think Casper Crumple is a great choice for the role. He certainly looks like the comic version of, depending on who illustrates the character, obviously, but when I think of the comic version of Vandal Savage and I look at Casper Crump, I think they did a very good job bringing the character to life. And in his first two appearances, I think they did a really good job selling a villain who's not only imposing and physically threatening, but also wise and interesting. I love the snippets of trivia that he offers about how, like, someone will say, "Where'd you learn that, Houdini?" He's like, "Actually, I taught him that." I can see that getting repetitive, but if they use it well and they reserve it for the right moment for something really impressive to add to the character, that could be a fun little way to expand on the character's history without having to show it every single time. But
they probably will too. They'll probably show a lot of history.
Sure. I wonder how big of a role his feelings towards Hawkgirl will play, because it's reached a point where he's like perfectly okay with killing her because it means he gets to live longer. I don't foresee a conflict where Hawkgirl's like, no, where they try to fool him into like Hawkgirl saying like, no, if you promise to be with me, I don't know. This is coming off. I'm not able to articulate what I'm thinking. It's a problem here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is Vandal Savage obviously has feelings towards Hawkgirl. I hope that doesn't play a significant role in the show. I would rather see Hawkgirl and Hawkman's relationship developed as she is still learning, and obviously she's not going to fall for him right away, but I would like to see that relationship grow. And I hope there isn't this plot where they try to fool Vandal Savage into thinking like Hawkgirl wants to be with him. That's what I was trying to say, because he seems well beyond that point where he's like, you're the life force that I need, you're dead. It doesn't matter if I liked you several centuries ago.
Yeah, I think they dealt with that in the crossover, so hopefully they don't do this whole love triangle, whatever they're going to do. Hopefully there's not too many love triangles in Legends of Tomorrow. But I feel like both Arrow and Flash, even though there's like potential of love triangles, and I think the fandom makes love triangles, the writers in general kind of play well with not doing the love triangles as much. So hopefully we don't see that with Hawkman and Vandal and whatever they're going to do there. But like you said, Greg, I think he's kind of over it anyways. It just shows that they had a connection, and it'll be, I guess, more personal to defeat the Legends of Tomorrow team. Tony, thoughts on Vandal?
Yeah, I think I already shared it already. I mean, just really want him to have a real depth and conflicted and be vulnerable. And it would be hard with having so many. We have so many. This is such a large cast as it is. So, but I do hope that they give them some time to develop some minions or whatever. But just that we see some different sides to him, and not just a real two-dimensional to destroy everything. And even as you mentioned with his weird relationship with Hawkman and Hawkgirl, that they really make that more complex, where he maybe wants something else besides death or romance. Maybe there's something else that he can get from them. But yeah, I think that's I just hope that all the best villains that we've seen have layers to them, and even I think while Roz on Arrow has been partially successful and partially maybe not as strong, there's the fact that they've brought some interesting layers to him has helped a lot as well. So yeah, they can go a lot of different directions. I just hope it's not just he's just pure evil and that's it.
Yeah. So last question for this before we start ending the show is that which characters are you most looking forward to seeing compared to a few months ago? Honestly, I feel like my choices haven't really changed. I know when the show started, we were all really excited to see White Canary. I'm still very excited to see her. She's so far my favorite character of the Legends of Tomorrow team before seeing the show, but that might change when the show starts. But I guess characters I'm more excited for, like Firestorm. I was originally not really excited for him, but after seeing his episode, I'm excited to see more of him and like who are from his side of comics might join. Not the team, but join for an episode, or honestly, something I'm really excited about with Legends of Tomorrow is like seeing what other characters are going to show up. Like we're hearing Roz, we're hearing Cisco, we know Laurel's going to be in an episode, so I'm excited to see that as kind of the crossover element too of Legends of Tomorrow. But yeah, I would say my answer is kind of the same. I'm most excited to see Sarah in the show. Let's go to Tony first. Who is your answer the same from when we did episode 0, or is it different?
Mostly. I mean, my answer then was also Sarah. I'm still interested in her. I think it's probably one part Firestorm. Definitely want to see him fleshed out more. I'm really glad the casting and just again, just for not only just diversity's sake, I just like his. I've always liked that character, so looking forward to that. And now that I like his costume more from that poster, so definitely I'm looking forward to him. And then other part I'm looking forward to is Adam, because we've got a chance to see his shrinking ability now, and just kind of seeing what just see him explore that, and it's coming at just the right time because of Marvel's counterpart with Ant-Man and just how they really kind of explored the potential of that power. They just we've just seen tip of the iceberg with Adam. So so just kind of seeing how they can utilize that, and his ability in comparison with everyone else. I mean, that's a really, really unique ability to shrink down. So yeah, just interested to see how they'll use him.
Greg, is your answer the same?
I believe my original answer was White Canary, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think all three of us said ultimately White Canary.
Yeah, I'm still excited to see her. I'm still excited to see everyone. But the way they brought her back, it did disappoint me a little bit. I feel like they kind of it almost felt like they had to include that just so they can, show how she was brought back and then have her ready for Legends of Tomorrow. It felt like it was a little rushed and it didn't receive the amount of attention it should have had. I liked Hawkman a lot more than I thought I would. I thought he would be a very serious and stern guy who loves fighting, but Falk Henschel, I believe that's his name, right? I think his character was really, really likable. The scene of him just casually pushing Hawkgirl off the ledge, or his first fight with them. He was surprisingly entertaining. I was really happy to see how much personality the character had. But so more of him and Hawkgirl. I'm really looking forward to that. I feel like Hawkgirl was at a bit of a disadvantage for the crossover, while other characters had room to be more entertaining and likable. She was going through this really traumatic experience. It was a very emotional arc for her, and as she now can finally move forward and continue to learn, I feel like that's where she'll get more charisma, be more of a likable character as opposed to a sympathetic character. So that should be interesting. Like I said before, I really want to see more of Heatwave because he's the least developed on the show. The new Firestorm, he had an episode to develop, and really looking forward to that. We all know Sarah very well. I'm very curious about Red Hunter, of course. Captain Cold had an episode to, finally show more insight into the character. I'm pretty certain everyone here has had at least one episode dedicated to them. And Heatwave was kind of just not Hawkman, Captain Cold's secondary goon.
His minion.
Yeah, he's his teammate. And I would like to see him turn into more of a character. Someone with layers as opposed to just like, let's turn up the heat.
But
something like that.
The heat punch. We still need it.
I feel like I'm fine with puns, but I feel like they should be reserved. Like there was a good Jeff Johns issue with Captain Cold taking on another Cold villain, and the guy made a really bad pun, and Jeff Johns made Captain Cold say something like, "A cold pun? Seriously? I got over that like years ago or something." It was really amusing.
Yeah, and that's another way to approach Kat, your question of who you're looking forward to is who you like maybe least looking forward to.
Ooh,
and for me, it is kind of like it is Heatwave and Captain Cold just because of the pun thing, because it's like the same thing, the same sort of references, and so I am hoping that I'm pleasantly surprised, and then that becomes like they win me over, because it kind of felt like, all right, it's kind of two-dimensional. Like I get it, you're hot or you're cold, and everything reference goes to that, but I'm hoping that they kind of win me over.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with that. Honestly, thinking about it, I think Captain Cold and Heatwave are the characters I'm kind of least looking forward to also, but at the same time, they could be the characters that really surprise us, and that excites me. So, yeah, I hope they could flesh them out more. But I remember season 1 in Flash, that was like a big complaint, was when I saw Captain Cold a lot, I'm like, I feel like the character has so much more than what they're showing on screen right now. And I think they're going to explore that with his childhood, because I think that's really important. And hopefully his kind of his code, too, the Rogue's Code. They did that a little bit this season, and hopefully they could show that even more in Legends of Tomorrow, that they don't kill, and they're kind of nice guys, but they're not. They still want, the heist. They still want the money, so hopefully they could explore that more in the show that I didn't think they did fully on The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think that wraps up the discussion about Legends of Tomorrow, but we do have a couple of announcements, some sad announcements, so I'm going to pass the mic over to Greg first for his announcement.
Unfortunately, not really. It's good and bad news. My life is getting a little busier, so unfortunately I will have to step away from the Legends of Tomorrow podcast as well as the DC Movies podcast, which is a bummer because it's been really, really fun talking with you guys about all this stuff. But hopefully I'll be able to, appear in the future as a guest.
Definitely. We would love to have you as a guest.
Thank you. But the good news is I may be leaving both shows, but I do have an excellent replacement showing up on the DC Movies podcast. And with that note, I will toss to Tony.
Perfect. That's a perfect segue.
Thank you.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So since we are one big happy family, we're all making adjustments to help out where we can. And it's been a great honor to be a part of the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, although I've not been on as many episodes as I would have liked to. Part of it is just the fact that, for you listeners who don't know, Kat, Greg, and I, we all live in, or at least from me to them, different time zones across country. So it just makes, scheduling-wise, it's just so difficult to make this work. And so it made more sense for me to shift over to the DC Movies podcast, to be in the same time zone there, and then to be able to, I love DC movies, and as we move into next year, 2016, with Batman v Superman and future movies, it made sense to focus my energies there. Although I would hope, like Greg said, I hope to be a guest and return back to Legends of Tomorrow whenever I can as well.
That'd be awesome. I would love to have you guys as guests. And my announcement is we'll still be part of the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. I will be the main host for the show. And in the new year, we will be announcing our new co-hosts. I'm really excited about that. And you can look forward to that. So this was the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. We do have some plugs. So, Greg, for the last time, what is our plugs? Be all dramatic.
You can like us on Facebook.com/Legends of Tomorrow podcast. Please be sure to give us a like there. You can also follow us on Twitter at Legends_podcast. If you do take time to listen on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, we greatly appreciate if you leave an honest review. We're keeping an eye out for those, and we love to hear both positive and constructive criticism. Positive feedback and constructive criticism. So thank you in advance for those. If you do have any questions or comments, please email the Legends of Tomorrow podcast at gmail.com. And of course, we are part of the DC TV podcast family, and you can find other podcasts at dctvpodcasts.com.
Awesome. So thank you, Tony and Greg, and thank you guys for listening. And this was the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. Again, we will be back after the holidays when the show does start, and again, we'll obviously have some new announcements coming for the podcast. So hopefully you are looking forward to that, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.